Episode 1 of Ishura begins with a rumbling felt across the city. A flashback shows Yuno becoming friends with Lucelles. Lucelles requests Yuno to teach her force arts. The two live in Nagin Labyrinth City, which was built at the center of the Great Labyrinth of Kayazuna. The scene switches to a few warriors taking down a golem. Yuno and Lucelles dream of a future together, assuming the true Demon King is dead. Returning to the present time, Yuno watches helplessly as the golem rips Lucelles limb by limb before chasing Yuno. She makes a run from the golem, but ends up getting cornered. She uses her force arts to take down the golem and regrets not using it to save Lucelles. Just then, multiple golems approach her from all directions. She attempts to attack them, but is unable to and accepts her fate. Just then, there's a flash taking out all the robots in a swift move. It is revealed that Sujuru has slashed through all of them with his sword. Sujuru reveals his plans to take down the Great Labyrinth itself using only his sword. He offers to take it down in exchange for a meal and takes off to fight the labyrinth and encounters multiple golems chasing him. He skillfully slashes them down. The labyrinth tries to fight back, but Sujuru dodges the attacks and begins climbing it. The labyrinth retaliates by engaging defensive cannons around the body and also deploys several other golems, which Sujuru tackles midair. Sujuru launches himself in front of the labyrinth, who takes the opportunity to fire a powerful light ray at him. Sujuru miraculously survives this and proceeds to slice off the labyrinth's head. With Sujuru on its shoulder, the labyrinth unleashes a punch to its shoulder. The scene cuts to the demonstration of a technique to use the opponent's momentum against them. Cutting back to the scene, Sujuru cuts off the swinging arm, causing it to hit the other shoulder with full force and ripping that arm away. With both the arms gone, the labyrinth falls to the ground, disabling the golems. Yuno questions why the Great Labyrinth began moving. She questions if it was Sujuru who resurrected it to slay it for fun. She harbors hostility towards the strong as it leads to the death of millions. Sujuru arrives and brags about killing the beast, and Yuno offers him rations for his journey. She directs him towards Oriatia, claiming there are many great fighters there. Internally, she hopes someone there will teach him a lesson at the end of Ishura Episode 1. Ishura Episode 2 commences with the depiction of the hierarchy, establishing the need to choose a protector for the people. The narrator explains the separation and independence of Terran from Oriatia. It threatened Oriatia's control over the frontier. The scene switches to a carriage with Lana, a skeleton, and Higuera. Lana spots the wyverns chasing them and is concerned about their safety. Higuera then informs her that bandits are also pursuing them in an effort to steal their cargo. Suddenly, a group of wyverns swoops down and attacks the bandits. The wyverns are fast enough to kill all the bandits. The wyverns then head to attack the group of wild wyverns. Lana identifies the leader of the wyvern swarm, Lord Regnagy. Lana reveals that someone is directing the outlaws and benefiting from their actions. The scene switches to two officials discussing the assassination of the 17th Minister of Elia's squad. The scene switches to General Harjin and his camp, awaiting updates from his scouts about the Vikian. Just then, he receives an update claiming they have found him. He instantly casts a spell, causing the general to be thrown out of the tent. Moments later, the tent bursts into flames, and the dragon appears. Vikian asks him if any more search parties are currently looking for him. General questions Vikian about his sorry physical state, and it is revealed that it was a wyvern who had attacked him. Harjent reveals that they were the last search party. Vikian begins to charge up to burn Harjent to death. Harjent summons a massive crossbow and fires at the Vikian. Unfortunately, this deals no damage. However, Uhalus the Star Runner appears, terrifying Vikian. Harjent fires at Uhalus, telling him to stay away from their battle. Vikian spits fire at Uhalus, but he quickly dodges it and fires a bullet into Vikian's eye. He then casts a spell, causing the bullet to grow spikes, causing him to drop to the ground. Harjent urges Uhalus to leave and let him take down Vikian. Just then, Vikian suddenly awakens and throws fire at them. Uhalus creates a shield around both of them, saving Harjent's life. Uhalus then uses his Hilansingen to slice Vikian into two halves. General Harjent tells Uhalus about the search for a hero and suggests Uhalus participate as a contender. However, he claims he would never use Uhalus' strength to claim victory as a matter of pride. Uhalus takes off for the Great Labyrinth of Nagin at the end of Ishura Episode 2. Ishura Episode 3 begins with a little boy thanking Terran for helping his dad and offering her a handicraft he made. She explains that she did not do anything personally. Rather, she set the rules to ensure citizens prosper. The narrator explains Terran's position on the war against Oriatia. As she reaches her room, she meets with Dakai and collects the cold star she had sent him to collect from Nagin. They discuss the power of the stone and the Great Labyrinth. Terran finds out Dakai isn't the one who took down the massive golem. Terran suspects Oriatia is sending outlaws to attack caravans going out of Lithia and assigns Dakai to look into the matter. Dakai sets out to investigate who is leaking the information. Dakai is quick to find the spies from Oriatia and skillfully uses his sword to take them down one by one before exterminating all of them. The scene switches to Regnaji questioning his subjects about who ate the Lithian girl. One of the wyverns is quick to point out Deputy Commander Lukwal. Regnaji uses the reversing mirror disc string-tethered sun to kill Lukwal and sets an example for everyone watching. Following that, Regnaji takes off to meet Kurt. She shows him the braille she is riding despite being blind herself. She attempts to touch Regnaji, but he has his guard up and avoids it. He asks her to sing for him as he soaks in the piece. The scene switches to narrate the history of Kurt and Regnaji. Kurt then offers to sing once again before Regnaji leaves at the end of Ishura Episode 3. Lord Hito, who was making plans with another minister in the Oriation Council, figured it was time to release the Vortical Stampede to take care of Terran. Everything had become urgent as Hito got the news of Dakai's massacre of the Oriation Secret Service in Lithia. Vortical Stampede, aka Nihilo, was one of the most powerful assets Hito had, and now that he had lost 10 men in Lithia, who were killed by Dakai, it was his responsibility to make a strategy for future dealings with Lithia. Meanwhile, Nihilo was released, and it's strange to see her tied down when she could very easily break free. Hito must have had some kind of power over her, but she realized what the task was and was up for it. Elia was in a remote village, which is why she couldn't be contacted by Oriatia. She was on an undercover mission, but nobody knew what that mission was. It turns out that she was after the elf, Kia, who knew her as Professor Viper. She was trying to get the elf to Oriatia, but she couldn't reveal why. The reason was that not only was Kia going to be a precious asset for Oriatia in her war against Lithia, but she was a candidate to be the hero of heroes in the Imperial competition. If Elia's recruit won, then she would rise in status, and perhaps everyone would forget that she was actually the daughter of a concubine. Kia was so dangerously brilliant in using the word art that Elia was in awe of her. Kia had gotten so good at it in fact that she could kill someone just by uttering the word die. Elia wouldn't want to miss out on such a brilliant asset. Elia made a show in the village that she was leaving, but she got to see what Kia was truly capable of. Before leaving the village, Kia made an entirely new reality at the end of the village, which was like heaven on earth. She created this just by the power of her imagination, and Elia was ecstatic, for she now knew that she had a potential winner of the competition. Lana, a spy working for Terran, had gotten hold of Higware and Shulk the Sound Slicer, two new powerful assets for the Lithian army. Dakai came to the meeting as well, where Terran was assessing if they were the real deal. Dakai had just killed 10 enemies from Oriatia and was quite impressed to see Higware. He took the form of a tree trunk, with two green eyes peeking from inside the hollow crevice. Dakai noticed that Higware was always ready to fight as he hid a weapon inside the trunk. What surprised everyone was the fact that he didn't have 2 or 4 limbs to fight, but a whopping 42 auxiliary branches, each ready to cut open the opponent. It wasn't that he had always known how to kill, but he was once taken hostage by the Minia, who wanted to see a monster, a Mandrake, get killed in the gladiators' arena. But Higware defeated them all, and he didn't stop at that. He killed the True Demon's army as well, which had come to destroy the village he was in at the time. Now he was in Lithia, and Terran had found a great asset, along with Shulk. Shulk, besides being a skeleton, was a mercenary and would only work for money. In Raishur Mountain Village, Hughes was happy to claim that he had a guardian angel taking care of her. Hughes was acting as an escort for Nihilo after she had been let go by Hito. Hughes looked frail and laid back, and Nihilo wondered for a bit how such a man survived the days of terror and bloodshed during the True Demon King's time. It turned out that Hughes was a warrior, but he literally had an angel watching over him. People at the village church took his statements as religious affirmations, but Nastig, an angel, was watching over him, and when the Lithian guards came to kill Hughes because they thought he had contact with Oriatia, it was Nastig who killed the guards. Nihilo was there to see how he couldn't have killed all the guards herself, and she believed Hughes when he told her about the angel. Nihilo seemed to have been reborn, as there was mention of her dying once. She didn't notice any angels when she died but had enough proof of their existence seeing Hughes and his belief. Only one man, Hughes, had been able to spot her, and the reasons for that remain a mystery. Ishura Episode 6 begins with Hito meeting with Yuno and Sujuru regarding their support of his plan. Sujuru is more interested in the competition to determine the hero. On Yuno's inquiry, Hito claims that the incident in her village was Dakai's doing. She requests if she can join Sujuru, and Hito allows it. The scene cuts to Regnaji arriving at Kurt's room. He sees someone inside, and she is having dinner with Terran. Dakai reveals himself and accuses Regnaji of sharing important military information with Kurt, which she has probably written in Braille and leaked it to the enemy. Regnaji realizes this is a threat to his swarm. At dinner with Terran, Kurt requests her to stop sending Regnaji on such dangerous missions. Terran justifies it, saying it is his job. Kurt also learns about her role in the war as Regnaji refuses to fight without her. The scene switches to Elia taking Kia through the city. Kia heads off to check out a ship, and Elia has a conversation with Lana. Lana passes on the information of things that happen in Orisha to Elia. Elia inquires about the assassination of Terran. Lana boasts about her achievements of winning over Higuera and Shulk. Lana suspiciously grips a tiny bottle. Just then, Kia arrives, and Elia introduces the two to each other. Lana offers to take them places and show Kia the city. Later that evening, Elia lets Kia sleep on a bench. Lana leaves, claiming she will buy a souvenir for Kia. Elia secretly follows Lana and sees him meeting Dakai. Dakai tells her about the information leaked by Kurt through Braille. Dakai vouches for Kurt's loyalty to Terran and claims someone has enticed her to do so. Dakai further goes on to blame Lana for it, and the transcriptions are proof. He takes Lana in the carriage to meet Terran. Elia is worried it will be a problem as she will also be interrogated. She begins to follow behind the chariot at the end of Ishura Episode 6. Episode 7 begins with Sujuru and Yuno scouting the borders along with Oriesha's soldiers when they encounter Shulk and Higuera. A melee fight erupts between Shulk and Shulk is the one to initiate the fight. Sujuru takes a hit, injuring his shoulder during the fight. Higuera kills off all the guards using his multiple arms but leaves behind Yuno. He forces her to ride a horse back to Lithia to transport him. Hito and Hargant are strategizing when a powerful beam is unleashed on Oriesha, burning a hole through the wall and causing havoc. This beam threatens the safety of the civilians and makes it harder to fight back. Hito learns that none of the scout group survived and assumes Sujuru has also perished. Hito has also sent cues on the assassination mission. They anticipate the invasion by Terran's wyverns. Hargant insists he uses his troops to counter the wyverns as they are skilled in aerial combat. But Hito doesn't approve of the idea as he has another plan in mind. Hito makes radio contact with Nihilo, who is awaiting orders to move out. He instructs her to bring down the wyverns, but spare the soldiers. The guards hesitantly give her access to her giant spider, and she takes position in it, ready to fight. Yuno was caught, and Dakai had a talk with her about how she wouldn't be harmed. She was just someone Higuera needed to get to Lithia. Yuno realized that Sujuru and Dakai were both similar at their core. They weren't interested in the war but could take part in it as a pastime. Dakai went away and joined Terran, where she was in talks with Regnaji, Shulk, and Higuera on their strategy for the war. Sujuru was alive and making his way towards Lithia, but Terran decided to secure Mage City first, for that was the supply center for Oriesha. The wyverns were wreaking havoc on Mage City, and Hargant tried saving the people, but he knew that without the soldiers, he had little chance to survive. Nihilo was still away, but it was Assel who came out of the blue and started to finish off the wyverns one by one. Assel was a wyvern with special powers who had left his original swarm. He saved Hargant, perhaps indirectly, and now waited for Regnaji, the wyvern leader, to arrive with the full wyvern swarm. Assel saw Nihilo making his way to Lithia after killing the wyverns that had yet to be killed by him. He was immediately intrigued, and perhaps he would reach Lithia before Nihilo. Elia was running around with Kia, and last we saw them, they were going after Dakai, who had arrested Lana. Elia wanted to assassinate Lana, for she was the only one who knew about Kia's world word, and Elia didn't want anybody else to know about the weapon she had in her hand. They reached the place where Lana had been imprisoned, and Elia had no qualms about ordering Kia to use her powers and make the guards go to sleep, even though earlier she had asked her to keep her powers a secret lest they attract attention. Elia had slipped up earlier and made Lana look like an enemy. Kia was just a kid who didn't know the subtext of each conversation, but she had seen Elia and Lana being quite friendly. But she couldn't understand that Elia was making her use the world word so as to get closer to Lana's prison and kill her. Kia was essentially aiding in a killing, and soon Elia found her prison cell. Lana had been brutally beaten up, but she had her senses intact, and she figured that Kia had the powers of the world word. There was no other way Elia could have made it past the guards. That left Lana to reach the conclusion that Elia had come in to kill her, as there was no way she put her life in danger to save Lana. Before Elia could kill Lana, Kia noticed Higuera coming her way, but he was no match for Kia's world word. Kia had used the power to make her words a worldly reality, and as she uttered the words, "Protect us from any danger," Higuera dropped dead on the spot, which was quite a surprise for Kia herself. Elia noticed that in between the distractions, Lana had managed to escape. She took Kia and went ahead to look for Lana. It might have looked like Kia's command killed Higuera, but that wasn't the case. Q's was also nearby, and Higuera had used vaporized poison to kill Kia, but as Q's would have died as well, Q's invisible guardian angel stabbed Higuera, which was why he perished. Finally, we see Sugiharu standing in front of Lithia. He saw the guards at the gate of Lithia and looked like it's gonna be really tough for Oriatia to take down this guard. But Sugiharu comes alone and asks them to move. The guards aim fire on him, but he masters the use of swords. So he smashed all the bullets by using his sword. After the Nihilo, the robotic spider also joined him in this battle. Nihilo is maniacally powerful. She killed all the guards within a second. Sugiharu is unable to understand what's going on because he doesn't know that Nihilo is on his side. Nihilo knows him and says she is his ally. Sugiharu sound Nihilo is too powerful. So, knowing that she is on his side, he still challenges her. Nihilo understood that it was not safe to fight with him, so she went away and attacked Lithia. After she went in, she noticed her spider body had some defects. She is curious because an ogre's axe or a dragon's breath also unable to destroy Helnaton's armor, but Sugiharu's sword did. She also understood that Q's also tried to kill her but failed. Nihilo can adapt to the immense weight and speed of a steed that devastates the terrain. The one who possesses lethal, long-range weapons that can cut through armies in a single sweep. She has also a strong armor to protect her from common attacks and also has an undying nature that can't be stopped. She has two bodies, yet she is able to destroy anything that comes into her sight. She is a cataphract, a revenant. She is Nihilo, the vortical stampede. Her long-range power is so powerful that she can able to kill down the wyverns from the sky. Later we see Regnaji giving strategy to his swarm. He said about Aluza's great attack, which is Hillensingen's the luminous blade. It fires out a blade of light at the moment of drawing. He also added that Aluza's special attack can be extended up to 4 meters, so a direct hit can literally kill them. Uhlus has another enchanted sword known as Trembling Bird, which is a sword that flies around on its own and also a powerful enchanted EP. So, Uhlus had a long-range attack and Regnaji told them to not go within 12 meters. Later we see a fight between Uhlus and Regnaji. Whenever Uhlus tried to attack on Regnaji, he failed. On the other side, Regnaji is so powerful and almost hurt Aluza's wing. Uhlus is in bad condition because the swarms are attacking tactically. Uhlus also got fire attacks from the grounds as the Lithian soldiers were brave enough. He was shot by a soldier and fell down. But Regnaji thinks that he isn't defeated. In fact, he must be finding a way to leave from this place. So, he ordered everyone to find and capture Uhlus. His fear comes true because Uhlus have a great shield of the dead. When all wyverns go to capture him, they forget that he reached into Aluza's radius. So, he killed down all the wyverns and also killed the soldiers too. Regnaji used his word arts and took the help of the beetles. A group of beetles comes out and surrounds Uhlus so that he becomes so confused. They are so small so that he can't cut them off. The beetles attacked him and ate through his palate and nostrils and ravaged the part of the brain that controls him. Uhlus is now in very bad condition. His speed is defeated in front of Regnaji. So, he was badly hurt and his sword fell. But Uhlus is also one step further. He fired up the high tower. So, at the end of Busted, and all the wyverns along with Regnaji got defeated too. The fire also killed down those beetles too. Uhlus have that shield which protects him from the fire. The rest are dead. This episode started in the new Principality of Lithia. We see Nihilo literally create destruction in the whole city. The whole city is covered with fires and destruction. We also see Elia and Kia running into Lithia. Elia found that the soldiers of Mage City were on Oriatia's side. 2 men from Mage City came towards her. Before they talk more, Shulk comes in and cuts through one guy. Shulk also understood that these girls were not from Lithia. Elia found trouble in this situation because she knows the power of Kia. Before she speaks more, Kia starts talking with Shulk. She said that she is from the Ada Sylvan province to study. She also thanked him for saving them. Right now, the Lithian soldiers are evacuating citizens on the east side. The people of the city are living in this danger. But Kia and Elia want to find out Lana. We see Dakai near a fountain. His armies informed him that the Wyvern squad was destroyed. Dakai understood that he and his whole team is losing slowly. At that moment, Nihilo reached there. An intense face-off started between Nihilo and Dakai. Dakai understood that it was a construct, just like the things that he saw in the city of Nagin. He also believed that there's a core that keeps this tarantula alive. He is planning to kill Nihilo, who is inside it. He tried to break its body with his sword, but was unable to do it. Later, he breaks down Spider's one leg by its own string. Later, the spider makes a web to kill down Dakai, but Nihilo's plan fails. The soldier of the city shone the cold star as Dakai instructed. Cold Star's power is just unbelievable that it really immobilized Nihilo's spider. With a maniac sound, Nihilo and her spider wakes up again. The spider destroyed the tower from where the cold was operating. Dakai is surprised by watching this. So, Nihilo mentioned that heat and impact attacks don't affect her tarantula. Dakai tried all the way to destroy it, but was unable to do it. Later he said he is a bandit, not a swordsman. He used the web and jumped into the upper body of the destroyed and cut it by using a poisonous dragger of a mandrake, referring to Higuera. Dakai just stole one of the swords of Higuera, which he hides inside in his body. Then Dakai used his unworldly observation power, which is so powerful that he can spot the flow of nerves. Through the observation, he confirmed where the induced malfunction is present and which part of the brain to target with the poison that acts on nerves in order to unlock the hatch. This weak point, or the cut made by Sujuru, and also turned out to be a keyhole for Dakai. Later, he cut off the head of Nihilo. We see Lana going upstairs. She is thinking about Higuera's death, and also unable to believe was it the world word behind his death or not. From the tower, she saw the destruction of the whole city. At the upside, she found the blue star, and Elia also reached there along with Kia. Lana said the world is full of monsters, and it's her responsibility to kill them all. She turned on the blue star and big plasma beam which could easily destroy the remaining city. Before the ray of the blue beam falls on the city, Kia stops it. Her power is just unbelievable because she can control a ray of light too. Even that's not enough, she just used one word, vanish, to erase all the fires in the city. The city, which was at the point of complete destruction, washed everything with a single word. Later, Lana requests Elia not to kill her. Kia also felt sorry for not being able to save this city sooner, as she also wanted to hide her power. Lana said to Elia, though she may be a monster, addressing Kia, "You want to be a kind and beautiful professor, don't you?" All she wants is not to kill her in front of Kia. Dakai met with Yuno. He comes to help her with what he promised earlier. He said Lithia is finished, and he wants to keep his responsibility. He said it's not her fault that Higuera involved her in this war. He said he must be a villain, but never do such thing as what happened in Nagin. Yuno is angry about revenge, so she starts to use her word arts against Dakai, but it's no use. But soon, Sujuru reached there. Terran said from the first time she knew that she wouldn't be able to beat him, but she knew that Sujuru could do it. As both are superb swordsmen, Dakai knows about Sujuru as he is the one who makes scratches on the spider's body. Sujuru, after watching Dakai's sword, understood that he isn't an actual swordsman. These words make Dakai happy because finally, someone is able to recognize him. Yuno from her cell sends arrows that show Sujuru the way to find her. So, Sujuru wasn't interested in killing Terran, instead he wanted to kill Dakai. They both belong to weak work, so now they are finding tough competitors. We see a tremendous action scene between Sujuru and Terran. But Dakai can recognize the speed of Sujuru, but Sujuru can do simultaneous movement, which is a masterful technique, faster than even the electric current and runs through consciousness. But Dakai's sword was able to beat Sujuru in this instant moment. He also realized that Sujuru had an enchanted sword. He is able to cut off the hand of Dakai. Dakai fell down and accepted his death. We see Regnaji hurt poorly, but Kurt taking care of her. Regnaji asks her to leave this city as soon as possible. Kurt can't believe that Regnaji lost. He said he made the army of Swarm and protected this whole town, but it's no use now as he was defeated. He asks her to leave this place before the Oriation army comes up. Hargant reached there, and Sae Kurt. He introduced himself as a 6th general of the 29 officials of Oriatia. Kurt trying to protect Regnaji and said that he helped her for a long time. Hargant is unable to accept this. Kurt thinks Regnaji belongs to her angel of all time. The injured Regnaji woke up again to protect the young girl, but was badly shot. The whole scene is too emotional, as we see unreliable bonding between Regnaji, Wyvern, and Kurt. Later we understood the fire wasn't actually shot by Hargant, instead it was Uhlus. A young blind girl was also hurt by this. With tearful eyes, she started to sing and her blood mixed with her tears. On the other side, we see Terran in the dungeon killing one by one. She later met with Shulk and started to praise him. She asked him the information about the final land where the true Demon King met their end. She had reconnaissance squads explore the final land several times, but each time they were thwarted. This means some unknown monster must reside in the final land where the Demon King died. In that unexplored land still, Terran's army managed to map some areas. But the bodies of the hero and the true Demon King still haven't been found yet. Shulk wants to know this, as he wants to help her more. Terran can't give him more reward from this, she just handed over a letter about the final land. Later she fired him. Lastly, Shulk said her story gonna be in soon. He thought that Terran could make a pretty good monarch. Terran said she isn't monarch, but that's now how her words are finished because her later statement makes us really speechless. When Terran said, "I'm the true Demon King," we see Terran watching the town from the window. Suddenly Q's arrives there. Q said he tried to save the life of Kurt, but failed to do so. But he asks Terran why she started this war. Terran replied, "To rule the world in place of Oriatia." Q said, "A country that relies on mercenaries and wyverns for military strength would never last long." Hughes thinks this war is to gather the monsters who can be a threat to the world. Terran remains silent, although she used Kurt to control the wyvern's army. Hughes understands that Kurt means to nothing in front of her. As he is a knight, he is ready to challenge Terran. He wants to hear the last of Worf of Terran. Terran replied that she wanted a hero. She also added, "Someone that shows there is indeed a power stronger than fear in this world. Someone who gives the people hope. A true hero." Hughes delivered the last word of Kurt to her mother, Terran. The last word of Kurt was, "Please save my mom." We see Lana, who is injured and roaming in the city. She said the monster is everyone now who will save the world. She is very badly injured and vomiting blood. Understood that Elia slowly poisoned her. On the other side, Hito and Hargant talk about the situation after the war. Sargent said it was the ending of the new Principality of Lithia. He is still curious about where the fire of the city had gone. The people of Lithia are still thinking about Terran. Kia said to Elia that after finishing study in Oriatia, she would return to Ada. She feels sad that she could not help more to the people of this city. Elia said it's not her fault. Elia knows the power of Kia, just stayed silent after all. They are going to stick together wherever they are going. Later we see after the situation of battle. The dead bodies are poured under the coffin because lots of soldiers died. Hughes is present there to pray for the people of the city. We see Sujiru and Yuno are leaving Oriatia. Yuno said Hito's order was to execute Terran, but they failed to do it. So, she is afraid that Sujiru is unable to take part in the imperial competition. Sujiru said he didn't mind at all because he enjoyed the fighting with Dakai. Sujiru is kicked out of his last world. He doesn't do anything, just knows how to swing a sword and kill the enemy. Yuno promised him to guide around the world to the imperial competition. Meanwhile, she also wants to learn about his world. Hito found the dead body of Nihilo, but he can see Uhlus, who is alive and worked as a trump card of this war. We see 1 year ago, we saw Minia Third Minister, Jelki, who was on the way to choosing a self-proclaimed Demon King. He met with Yuka, who is fighting with his fellow minions. We also see Ilya come with a girl known as Queen Sephite, as they are searching for the true hero after the Demon King dies. The young girl ordered to find out to make a self-proclaimed true hero,